Honestly, I was thinking of putting on makeup before shooting this video, but then I was realizing that if I'm gonna shoot reading vlogs in the future, you guys are gonna have to see me in my raw, pure state. Hello, this is me makeup list on the third video. Today, this video is actually really unconventional because one, I have a TBR list, which as I said in my previous video, I don't really do TBRs. I'm a chronic mood reader. I just read what I'm feeling at the moment. I like to read palette cleansers in between stuff and series and whatnot. And so yeah, this video I'm talking about actually the books that I want to read before the end of this year, as well as the fact that I had the time of my life today. I'm back home. As you can see, the background is different. And I went to the bookstore and kind of went all out. So I also have a mini haul at the end. And the thing is, I really don't expect hauls from my channel. The first books or series that I want to show that I want to finish before the end of this year is the Red Sister trilogy. Okay, that's my bad. I don't have the Red Sister on me at the moment. It's in the other room. But I am about halfway through the first book in that series, and it is amazing. It's kind of started off kind of slow, but if you don't know about it, long story short, it's a series by Mark Lawrence about a girl who's going through this killer assassin academy, and it's a convent. So you have like killer nuns, and they're learning how to kill, and it's really amazing so far. I love it. I think I'm probably going to finish the trilogy in the next week or so because they're pretty short. As you can see, they're kind of thin. The next series I'm going to show is one that I've been meaning to read pretty much since I kind of got into the booktube community, and that is the Poppy War. I don't have the third book yet because I have like a phobia to hardcovers, which you guys are going to see me contradict myself in the next few minutes. But yes, so the Poppy War, everyone and their mother knows what the series is about, but the fact that it's a dark fantasy and it's set in an Asian-inspired world, and it's also so entrenched with like Asian history. I watched the interview that Daniel Green had with Evan Winters and Rebecca Kwong, and that just definitely pushed those two books up on those two authors' works up on my TBR. So that means the next book that I also plan to read before the end of this year is Rage of Dragons, which I have on my iPad. And I bought this like probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and after just hearing his thoughts on his production or his writing of this book and the storyline, it's, you know, a revenge fantasy set in a world where the African influences are very strong. I just was like, this is it. I gotta read this before the end of this year. My next two books that I'm gonna read before the end of this year is Wheel of Time 2, which is The Great Hunt, and 3, which is The Return of the Dragon? I don't know. I really should have researched that title. But yes, I saw those at the store today, and the temptation to buy them was so strong. But I think I'm going to read those actually on my iPad before I buy those physically. And yeah, I'm going to continue reading the Wheel of Time series. I love it. I already missed them so much. I feel terrible that I kind of jumped ship and started another series before getting further into that one. But I totally plan on starting a number 2 in that series in the next week or so. Last book that I plan to read before the end of the year is Nas 482 by Joe Hill. And okay, guys, I'm so ignorant because I didn't know Joe Hill was Stephen King's son. So my friend kind of roasted me about not knowing that. But the reason why I wanted to pick up this book was because my father started watching the series that's on, what's it on, Hulu or Net or Amazon, and I just thought it was so interesting. The time travel, this whole horrible land called Christmas Land, which is why I'm reading it near Christmas, because I was like, yes, I gotta tie that in a little bit, and I really want to read the actual book so before I progress further into the television series. And so yeah, that was pretty much all the books that I plan on reading before in the next month and a half. And of course, mind you, again, I'm a mood reader. There's going to be a few more books I'm going to read in between those. But yeah, I didn't want to overwhelm myself with this TBR because, again, I know how I am. The haul, oh my god, like, oh, look at all these books, guys. I don't usually buy this much books at once because I'm kind of cheap, and also I'm scared of spending money in any form or capacity. Oh, these aren't even showing the 2 hardcovers I got. But yeah, let me tell you about my finds for today. The first book that I got was Trouble the Saints by Aliyah Dawn Johnson. And okay, so how I figured out about her was that I don't know how. I came across her blog and I saw that she majored in the same thing that I'm majoring in now, which is Japanese studies or East Asian studies. And she also, I don't know if she currently lives in Mexico right now or not, but she lived in Mexico at a time. And I'm like, is this woman me, but like not me? So I was like, I really want to check out her work. And if I'm not mistaken, the premise of this book centers, I think it's a sci-fi fantasy, and it's set in the 1920s. So, or no, 1940s, excuse me. And so yeah, I really want to read this book and review it. The next book that I bought was These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and it's a YA book, so that's already out of my ballpark. But come on, this book is like set in the 1920s in Shanghai, and it's centered around like gangs. Hello. I had to check it out, and the cover is just absolutely beautiful. I think this is this a debut? I think it is. I'm not sure. I actually read, which is what I'm supposed to do. And yeah, it is a debut novel, and it's also a play on Romeo and Juliet in that premise. So that sounds amazing. I cannot wait to read this book. So here's the other books that I got. I got The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. Pretty much all the fantasy booktubers that I really watch, which is like, you know, Murphy Napier. I don't even know if that's how you say her last name. I'm so sorry. Just all the big head fantasy booktubers to totally talk about this book a ton. And I think the premise, which is centered around a group of thieves, it just seems so cool. And it's a dark fantasy, if I'm not mistaken, or kind of a grimdark, as I should say. And yeah, I picked it up. I usually don't buy mass paper market trade backs, but had to steal it. Doesn't matter. I'll read it in either way. And speaking of grimdark, I actually, because I was originally supposed to receive the Abercrombie's, Joe Abercrombie's like the First Law trilogy, but that never came because the post system kind of screwed that up. And I was supposed to receive that for my birthday, so I'm really sad. In the meantime, I'm gonna have to buy it by on my own. But before I get to that, I bought Black Company by Glenn Cook, and apparently this guy is like the grandfather of grimdark and fantasy. And I was like, well, to satiate that need, because I can't get to Joe Abercrombie stuff yet, I am going to read this. I think this is 3 stories in one before I get on to that next year. So I'm really excited to read about that. So the next book I bought was Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And as y'all know, or do y'all know? Okay, so this is like my favorite author right now, and I have not read this book by her yet. And I plan on making a video for her in probably next year, early next year or so, about like all the books that I've read. I think I've read Certain Dark Things, Untamed Shore, Mexican Gothic. I'm going to read The Beautiful Ones. And there's another book I read by her. But yeah, I just want to resort a whole video to her works that I've read by her. And I think her writing is amazing. She always comes up with the most interesting premises, and they're entrenched in Mexican culture, which is also very intriguing to me and a personal interest of mine. And so yeah, I know a lot of people love this book. There's a lot of rave reviews on it. So I'm looking forward to digging into that one. The next book I got was unexpected because I didn't expect to buy this book at all. Was A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Yeah, I've heard a lot about this book. Apparently it's a coming of age story. It's LGBT, and it centers around a boy and him finding his found family. And my friend, I remember when I went to the bookstore earlier this year, my friend was like, I really hate the cover of that book. I hate it so much. And I'm like, yeah, the cover is a little strange. Maybe I'll understand the meaning behind it once I dive into it. But yeah, I've heard good things about that book. The next book I got was Books of Blood by Clive Barker, which is a recommendation from my best friend, the same friend. And apparently this guy is like well known for horror, and I want to dive more into horror besides the big names. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And then I got Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff. I actually watched a review on this recently, and that really pushed me to buy this book. And no, I haven't watched the series yet. My parents love the series, but I also heard from the review that you get a deeper look into like the intentions of the characters, their backstories, from reading the story. So that looks really good. And the last book that I got, which again is something that I kind of out of the ballpark, but the premise was just so interesting, was Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. The cover is beautiful. Like, this is awesome. This is like, I believe it's about a seamstress or a dressmaker, and it has some fantasy-like elements tied in. And yeah, this was probably the crappiest haul you'll ever see. Again, I'm probably not gonna really do another one of these again because I just kind of I just read what I read, and you'll see it in those wrap-ups or the review. But yeah, I felt so good today. Recently it's been kind of weird because I just got back home. It's the end of the semester, so there's a lot on my mind. But going to the bookstore and spending all this money on these books that I'm gonna read soon felt really great. And so yeah, this is my video. I am ending it on this note. See you guys. Hi, I'm also aware that I say a lot in my videos, so I apologize. I'm trying to get better. I know that's a lot of people's pet peeves. But yeah, stick with me. Bye.